Hi, this is Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and and the purpose of this video is to discuss why it's so important that Vivek Ramaswamy is a person of faith, and what that means in this 2024 U.S. presidential election, which is extremely exciting because we have a chance that the world is going to change in 2024, rather than being the absolutely abominable suckfest that the Democrats brought with the first 80-year-old president, which is a fully failed experiment, and let's never repeat it again. But I want to talk about, and in order to explain to you why it's so important that Vivek Ramaswamy is a person of faith, I need to talk to you about that reality element of his life, um, in context to the A24 Oscar award winning, worthy of winning an Oscar award, um, film, The Iron Claw, starring Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White. Phenomenal film that perfectly explains why it is so important that the U.S. president be a person of faith. All right, so there's going to be spoilers for A24's The Iron Claw here. All right, let's go. So first of all, thank you for coming to my channel and listening to my content. I appreciate it, right? And I think one thing that I really love about my channel is, you want to go hear about somebody talk about politics with outrageous bias and no fun, or no joy. Go to CNN. This is Sky Garabay's channel, and I talk about politics in context to American entertainment because I think they're fully American politics and American entertainment are fully synonymous. I don't think there's any. I like the Venn diagram between them is like 3% difference, right? And I think you could just find more truth on the side of American entertainment. Well, there's less truth in American politics than in the only difference between American entertainment and American politics. They're both just filled with political speech, calling for political action, and the only difference is that less truth exists in American politics, pure, than it does in American entertainment. There's more truth in American entertainment. Um, so I want to talk to you about why it's so important that Vivek Ramaswamy is a person of faith. The reason why, and let's say the quiet part loud. I'm an evangelical Christian. Why am I pulling for an evangelical Christian to be president? Because trust and believe, Vivek Ramaswamy is not an evangelical Christian. In fact, I have no idea what Vivek Ramaswamy's religion is, right? And that's on purpose. He has very carefully hidden what his religion is, and I totally get it. And I think it's actually the best option, right? And the reason why is, so I'm an evangelical Christian, so logically I would want an evangelical president, right? Well, I actually don't. And the reason why is I don't want the Republicans to run an evangelical Christian because I know he will lose. No evangelical Christian will ever have the chance, at least for 25 to 50 years, unless there's a major cultural change in America. No evangelical Christian could ever win the U.S. presidency. You don't want to know why? Evangelical Christians are boring as dirt, right? And the best ones are the most boring, right? So if you ask me 50 different questions, you already know the answer. Ask me what I think of the 1974 Roe v. Wade. You know the answer, right? Ask me what's the best use of someone's life. You know the answer. It's all Sunday school answers. The answer is always Jesus, right? Basically, and because there's a canon, right? And so we are boring as dirt. The other thing is we massively reduce risks in our lives, because we want to do the right thing for our families and be good spouses and be good parents. We want to be parents, right? Like they're right there. We're boring as dirt. And no one who's boring as dirt can ever win the presidency in America because it requires charisma, confidence, and intelligence, right? Now, I am an evangelical Christian. I got a lot of confidence. I have a lot of intelligence. I have zero charisma, right? And the reason why is I can't regulate it, right? Like I either overshoot it or I undershoot it. I can't charm people, right? And I frequently repulse people, right? Because when it comes to truth, I know the truth because of, Jesus Christ. I know what truth is because of Jesus Christ in the Bible, right? All right. So there's never going to be an evangelical Christian president in at least for 25 to 50 years, and it will only happen then if America returns to being a God-fearing nation, which right now it is not. Okay? But Vivek Ramaswamy is a genuine person of faith, right? He talks about humility. He talks about there being a higher power, right? And I believe he is a genuine person of faith. And I believe he is a person who is trying to be good. Now, the reality is, at the macro level, there are no good people. We are all, all our good deeds are filthy as rags. We are all villains in this world, okay? But there are people who are trying to fight their inner demons, right? To fight their base nature. Base nature of humanity is bad, not good. We are broken, fang-clawed creatures, right? And Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the good ones who's fighting his base nature and trying to do good, right? President Donald Trump, that absolute human monster, right? He is leaning in. He is accelerating into his own evil. He has not a bit of humility, right? He lies every other sentence. And soon he'll be 80 and he won't even be able to finish those sentences. We've got, this is critical that you understand this, all right? Now, why is it important that we have a person of faith? Because this is a supernatural world. This is a supernatural world. Oh, Scott, I don't believe you. It's not a supernatural world. You fool. You're just some Christian who believes it's a supernatural world. I hear you. That's why we need to talk about A24's film, The Iron Claw. Now, I learned from a great man who was a mentor to me for many years that it means nothing, right? It means nothing for a baker to say bread is good. I'm a Christian. I'm telling you the world is supernatural. It means nothing, right? I'm incented. I've heard 1,000+ sermons, right? I've been raised reading the Bible since I was, 1 year old, right? The Bible was read to me. I started reading when I was 5, right? So, I've read the Bible 11 times cover to cover, right? That does include audio listens. And the reality is, this is where we land, right? And so it doesn't matter to me if I tell you that the world is supernatural. It matters when someone who is an atheist or an agnostic, right, tells you the world is supernatural and proves it, in my humble opinion. And that's what the Iron Claw is. The Iron Claw is not a work of fiction. It is the real life story of the Von Erichs, who were a family who were dedicated to professional wrestling and wrestled in the WWF. Okay? And it was 6 brothers whose legacy was bound up in professional wrestling. And they were supernaturally cursed. And if you watch this film, you will see from atheists and agnostics presenting you the story that they 100% were cursed. They were cursed supernaturally. There was a curse upon them. And again, Scott Garibay telling you the world is supernatural doesn't mean a thing. That's just a baker saying bread is good, right? But when an atheist or an agnostic proves to you that the world is fundamentally supernatural and shows you evidence, maybe you should listen. So let's get into it, okay? How does A24's horror film, also true life story, and the Von Erich family's family story is a horror story. That's why it was told by A24, which specializes in horror films and has more experience making the best horror films than any other shop in the world. Hereditary and Midsummer and Talk to Me, all peerless horror films, the best you can make. right? Right. And now the Iron Claw. It's their fourth horror film. The Von Erichs lived through a horror. Their lives were a horror story because because the father of the Von Erichs, of all six of the Von Erich brothers, was dedicated to evil, in my humble opinion. And the entire family, with the exception of Kevin, were subsequently cursed. Let's get into it. All right. So, the Von Erich family, let me count it off with you, right? This movie tells us that Kevin Von Erich, right, believed that his family was cursed. Believed that they were cursed because their real name was Atkinson. That was their God-given name, right? And Kevin's father, right, the father of the six brothers, was an evil man. I think that's what was communicated in the film, in my opinion, right? And he said, we're not going to keep our God-given name. We're going to forsake it. He forsook their God-given name. Kevin Von Erich, Kevin Atkinson. I'm going to use their cursed name because that's what the film uses, right? Kevin Von Erich believed they were cursed, right? Was he right? Let's count it off. His older brother, he was the second oldest of the Von Erich brothers. His older brother died when he was 5 years old, when his brother was 5 years old, right? And Kevin was probably like 3, right? So his brother died as a toddler. Oh, my goodness, misfortune. Yeah, okay, let's count that up to misfortune, right? Then Kevin is born, and he begins and his father, who was a professional wrestler, right? The father of all 6 of the Van Erich sons. His father pushed him to be strong, and then encouraged him to become a wrestler. And Kevin became a professional wrestler. His name was Kevin Von Erich. Okay. Then his brother Kerry tried to be an Olympic disc thrower, and then President Jimmy Carter stole Kerry Von Erich's future and did not allow any Americans to go to the U.S. Olympics, which was a terrible idea, and that's why President Jimmy Carter was a garbage president. He absolutely made the wrong decision, and I think that Kerry Von Erich, much of the torment and agony of his death is first on his father, the Von Erich. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the father. I knew all the other names in there, but the name of the father of the 6 brothers, it was on him, man. Like everything that happened, this curse, he brought it upon them. But it was very clearly a supernatural curse. And I think you're going to believe that when you hear this story. Listen to this, right? So Kerry Von Erich was not allowed to go to the Olympics, which he had fought for and earned the right to do. And then he went into professional wrestling, specifically encouraged by his father to do that, right? He became horribly addicted to drugs, and then he ended up self-deleting because he could not deal with his addictions. And this was after he lost his foot he became the world wrestling champion, lost his foot in a motorcycle accident, then became horribly addicted to recreational substances, and then ended up self-deleting because he could not deal with his addictions. Right? Now we got two dead brothers. Okay? Then, all right, and the sequencing on here is, there's going to be a little mix-up of the sequencing, but all of this happened, right? It's just what order did it happen in. Then, once Kerry then their brother David was given a title shot at the World Wrestling Championship, and he died literally of a flu in Japan. He died of a burst intestine and the reason why I think he really died of the flu, because he became sick, and rather than bow out, he pushed forward in order to get his world championship when he should have just called in sick, and ended up harming himself and died in Japan alone in a hotel room, right? Because his father had encouraged him to get the World Wrestling Championship, which his father was never able to get, and his father spent his entire life encouraging the boys to do what he had failed to do, right? And he did it with hubris. He did it with outrageous hubris, and at every step, their father shook his hand at God. And he said, if you are the toughest, if you are the most successful, if you are the best, nothing can harm you. That man was a fool, and God came to harm him and his family and took literally 5 of his 6 sons. This world is supernatural. The Von Erichs were very really cursed. 5 brothers out of 6 dying is absolutely not coincidence. That is a supernatural curse, because the Von Erich's father shook his fist in the face of God and said, we will be the toughest, we will be the most successful, we will be the best, and nothing can touch us, right? And the reality is God can touch anyone he chooses to at any time, and you will not beat God. And the Von Erich father found it. Like, he bargled around and he found out. You do not shake your fist at God. You will get cursed. Okay, and that's exactly what happened, right? All right, so the father encouraged Michael, a son who never wanted to wrestle, to get into the ring. He ended up going into the ring. He was injured in the ring and got a fever so bad it put him in a coma. He came out of the coma and was in such bad state that he couldn't even eat with a fork. He downed an entire bottle of substances and self-deluded. Terribly sad. Terribly sad. Terribly sad. Terribly sad. Now we're talking 3 dead brothers, right? Then, wow, man, it's incredible. Yeah, so that was David, then it was Michael, then it was Carrie. Absolutely astounding how many. And Jack was the 4th, right? And so David died in Japan. Actually, Jack died as a child at 5 years old. David died in Japan. Michael died after a coma and then self-deleted. Carrie died after losing his foot and self-deleted, right? And I think, yeah. And so I guess there were not 6 brothers. There were 3. There were a total of 5 brothers. There was 5 brothers, right? And then Kevin, and so you got 4 dead brothers. 4 dead brothers. Kevin makes that all out alive. How does Kevin make it out alive? Is there a coincidence? Is there some natural way that he didn't die? No, absolutely. Even Kevin's being saved from wrestling was supernatural. So here's how he did it. 1, he defied his father, turned his back on his father, and sold the wrestling business that his father had given him, and then completely, and then and really, and very much distanced himself from wrestling, right? In addition to that, what really kept him alive was the Von Erich mother. She was a devout woman of faith, and she prayed for all of them. And the reality is that she made the number 1 problem that a Christian can do, and that is be unequally yoked. She yoked herself. She tied herself to a man who was not Christian, but she saved Kevin. This is why we live in a supernatural world. This is why Vivek Ramaswamy is the best option.